right now, so go ahead.
Okay.
This is really relevant.
All right, great. So even though Heather is a performer, she did ask me about like what would be seen in the coverage and all this sort of thing. And so she works around a lot of people who have fake boobs. So she's like, I don't like my boobs. I don't like them because they don't look like these other boobs that other people have, right? And again, this is where I talk about the demonization of our bodies. And one of the things that she said that was just so perfect was like, well, if I weren't me and I looked at my boobs, would I like them? And the answer would be yes. And the only reason she hated them was because they were hers. Right?
Real life.
How many of you look at your own self and you have wished it was something else? Right? We gotta stop doing this to ourselves. We really do. Right? Each of us could look at each other and say, well, I wish I had what she had. Well, I wish. No. Be happy with what you have because you have it. This body is a sacred and beautiful thing. And so we need to stop doing that. And I need to start painting.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, body image, self-esteem, and your earning income potential. What does our body image have to do with that? Well, I talked about it a little bit earlier. And here's the thing. We do all kinds of stuff to ourselves mentally every day. And when we're going in for those interviews, like I was saying before, we're thinking all kinds of stuff about ourselves. And the reason that stuff ends up having to do with what our earning income potential is because that we're worried about how other people are going to judge us. When the truth is we are far more harder on ourselves than other people are on us. How many of us have realized that in our lives? Yeah. So, and the thing about body painting is that when I am body painting, I am saying, not out loud, but as a mantra, she is perfect, she is worthy, she is whole, she is deserving, she is loved, she is lovable, she is courageous, and as many positive things as possible. I told you, forget. Stay on one hip.
One hip.
Or
Got
the
it. There you go.
right? Is that's one of those things that just kind of happens that we do to ourselves. But when I'm saying those things, it is affecting her on a much deeper level. How many of you have heard of the water experiments from Dr. Emoto? Raise your hand. A couple of you? Okay. So let me explain. Quite a number of years ago, there was a show called What the Bleep Do We Know? Have you guys heard of it? Mm-hmm. Right? And that's the first time that Dr. Emoto and the water experiments became very public. And Dr. Emoto is a physicist. And what he does is he photographs water at the electron microscope level. So you can look it up right now if you wanted to on Google image search, and you would find the images of the water crystals that he has taken pictures of that show these beautiful images that look like snowflakes, and it has the word love or appreciation. So what he did is he put it on the outside of a water bottle, and after being on the water bottle for 24 hours, it goes from just a solid hexagonal-ish size to being this snowflake pattern that's just beautiful. And that is the effect of words on water. So if that's the effect of words on water on a bottle, what is the effect of your thoughts on the water that is in your body? Do you want to know why there's cancer? Go look at those images, because what you will find is that the water from the Fukushima plant, do you remember the Fukushima plant in Japan when they had the earthquake and so the nuclear plant had a leak, right, and went into the environment? Well, when that happened, there was really, the water got contaminated and everything else, and it was very bad. And essentially, if you look at that versus there's also water that says, I hate you, I want to kill you, I wish you would die. The image of the water from Fukushima and the image of the water that has the hateful thoughts look very, very similar. And so it's incredible to think that the power of your own thoughts and your own self-loathing in your head is just as strong as drinking nuclear contaminated water. And we all know that nuclear contaminated water affects things like giving creatures weird double heads and, changes things at the genetic level and messes up all kinds of stuff. So if that's true for nuclear contaminated water, why wouldn't it be also true for the negative thoughts that you think when you contaminate your own water by the power of your thoughts? Right? Most of us do not understand how viscerally strong that is. Like everyone's like, let me control what I eat, let me exercise, let me work out, but mentally, you're still going to poison yourself? And then you wonder why somebody who runs a marathon and does all these healthy things still gets sick, right? You've heard about the people that do all that stuff, and they're like, well, my genes are my fault, right? But there's no power to do anything. There's no redemption. There's no, I like the idea much better that we have the ability to change our thoughts and therefore change what happens to our body. And that's exactly what happened to me. Some of you may have known me from 2 years ago. If you saw me on Skin Wars 2 years ago, I was much larger. I went from a size 22 to a 12 in a year. I septupled my income in a year. And I did this because I changed the way I thought about myself first. And then everything else followed after that. But that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't on Skin Wars. Because after I got out of Skin Wars and it aired, I had put all of my money eggs in the Skin Wars basket. In October, which is supposed to be the most profitable month for a body painter, it was my worst October ever. Because they were like, oh, well, now that Mythica's been on Skin Wars, she's probably already booked. So they never called me. Oh, well, Mythica's been on Skin Wars. She's probably too expensive. So people didn't call me. And, that's kind of backwards. And I would agree with that. But I decided, okay, this Skin Wars isn't going to save me, and nothing else is working, and I'm getting sicker, and I don't want the best part of my life to be the past part of my life. So I decided to change my mind, and I role played being a different character for an entire year. I got out of my head. I got out of my mind. I got out of my sick thoughts about things. And I changed how I was. And if that didn't have happened, then I wouldn't be able to be here talking to you now about this subject. So when I say that I know that changing your mind about things works, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not making up something that I read in a book. Although I've read a lot of books, right? I've read Tony Robbins and, all those different books that we've all read for different reasons, trying to change and improve our lives. Now, all that stuff is good because you need it to feed your mind to be able to fill in the blanks for what positivity you do want, because they give you a really good roadmap. But it's our job to synthesize that. right? Because no matter what we read from anybody else or do from anybody else, we're the only people who can actually put all of that into practice, you know? So that's our job. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. I want to make sure you're still there. I want to make sure you're still there. Okay. Yeah, every now and then I gotta check in on you guys to make sure you're, still working back there. So, how many of you would like to make more money? Raise your hand. How many of you are willing to get naked to do that? A couple of you. A couple of you are like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Well, here's my thing. How many of you who have been to some of these workshops and seminars have heard about, if you sit in the front row, that is $1 million row, right?
Yep.
That's because the people who are going to take action are sitting in the front row. Now, mind you, we did ask people to sit in the front row to fill it up. Just saying. Right? But how many of you have also heard from many of these great speakers and other things that they are giving away all this information because they know that only 95 to 90, basically only 5% or 1% of the room is going to take action. Who likes to be told from one of the greatest people that are on stage, their mentor, their person that they believe in the most, that basically that person believes that they're going to fail? That no matter what they give them in terms of information or how to do things, that, well, I'll give you all this information, but I'm pretty sure you're not going to take action on it, so go ahead and buy my stuff. I don't know why they do that, and it doesn't make any sense to me, and you will never hear that come from me. Because my objective by the end of this is that everyone in the room will want to be body painted by the time I'm done. So how many of you have actually forgotten now that she's topless? Like that it slipped your mind? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Of all people.
Exactly.
Right? So it's very interesting because, in the beginning, who felt a little mortified for her? Like, ooh, that's kind of scary to be up there like that, right? But the amazing thing is, in doing this, have you heard about the statistic on violent crime, and people who witness it? That somebody who witnesses a violent crime is just as much psychologically hurt or damaged by witnessing the event as the people who are in it, right? So here's the thing. Even though you aren't the one who's being body painted up here, you are also going through this process as much as she is. So that's the beauty of doing live performance or performance art that most people don't realize, in terms of art can be just as healing as being watched, as being experienced. But viscerally, no matter how much you see what is happening to her, she is feeling the energy work that I'm doing with her on a deeper level. Because when you see yourself body painted, things change. So let me tell you about the Reflections Project and how that came about. I have someone that I painted, and her name is Lily. Lily did not believe that she was beautiful. I'll show you a picture of her. If you want to come up to me after the end of the talk, I'll be more than happy to show you. She's also on my Instagram, my Facebook, and other things too. But I wanted to work with Lily, and Lily wanted to work with me in terms of she wanted to be body painted. but she hated herself. And I'm like, oh my dear, you like let me paint you, because if you're going to be working with me as my model, you can't hate yourself. Like, it just, that's counterintuitive. So she agreed to get painted in the studio setting. And normally, niece, normally, I have mirrors up in the studio so that models don't do this. Because they went, look, I want to see what's going on. I'm like, don't do that, you're twisting your body. But I did notice that when I was doing that with Lily, she was judging herself. Like, you could see it in the mirror that she was judging herself. And so basically I got between Lily and her reflection, and I said, Lily, would you like to love yourself again? And she was tearing up just at me asking the question. And she's like, yes. And I'm like, okay. So we took away all the mirrors in the studio, or we turned them around. And so the next time that Lily saw herself was as I painted her. And it was this beautiful turquoise and silver blue butterfly that I painted her as, which was really just so gorgeous. And when she looked at it, like her hand, there's a sound that happens when you see yourself in the mirror. It's a sound, and it sounds like this. And here's the thing, when you have a deep truth that's in your body, it does not come from your head, it comes from your gut. Right? Whenever you've ever had a truth of something that you've realized in your life, it came here. Money. Right? You could play, how many of you would like to play a character who attracts money like crazy and has no issues? Right? So why haven't you done it already? Right? Why haven't you done that already? Well, part of it may be that in your mind, a play is a play and life is life, right? But in our lives, we make a commitment to a role. We are all playing a character. Life is one gigantic live action role-playing game. Welcome to the game, ladies and gentlemen. The thing about Buddhists is they try to be like, you're playing a game, it's all an illusion. But we came here to play, right? We came here to play, we came here to enjoy ourselves. And somewhere along the lines, we forgot that we're supposed to be having fun and enjoying ourselves. I think that one's in the clouds down there because I like it. I'm in the galaxy theme this weekend. It is a good thing. It is a good thing. So, how many of you found yourselves getting lost in the art? Right? So here's the interesting thing that happens. At the beginning, you were kind of a little bit mortified for her, right? You know, like, eek, if that was me, I'd be a little scared, you know? Like, even if you've done it before, there's still a nervousness because there's cameras rolling. There's actual evidence that this went on, right? And even if you did it before, you didn't necessarily do it in front of other people, right? So that adds another layer of being vulnerable, because then you're sharing that vulnerability in a public way, you know? I know you can't see it. It's
I know,
terrible.
I'm
It's
like,
terrible for me to tell you like how awesome it is tonight. You can't
see it soon.
You will. You will. You'll see it soon. So here's the thing. it's a good thing to lose your mind because it's not always your ally. So part of our job is to take our mental saboteur and turn it into our ally. Like that's how part of how you make the change. Now, in body painting, what happens is that it's a shortcut for how to do that. And I don't have any other words for that. There's just the physical reality of it. Because when you change on a visceral level, right, between the body painting and the fact that I'm doing the energy work and how that translates, it's an altered state of mind. It's an altered state of consciousness. You know, you don't have all the things that are going on in the room, like the other people, the noises from the other room, the fact that there's cameras and different things that are going on, right? All of those things, you know, tend to occupy your conscious mind. But when things happen on a visceral level, and things begin to happen and you see them, right, then in your physiology things begin to change. Because remember what I was telling you about the water, right? When Lily went home and washed the paint off, the next day she totally expected life to go back to normal. And she was walking past like a set of windows that are like that, you know, where you see your reflection. And she told me that she completely expected to flinch when she saw her reflection, and she didn't. And she said, Mythica, I want to thank you because you changed the way that I see my own reflection. Right? When you're changed on a molecular level, that's where you have all of those things in alignment. And I can show you something that looks visual and beautiful, but it's only a representation of the transformation that happens on a much deeper level. I love neon, in case any of you had any questions. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. Do any of you guys have any questions about this? Do you have any questions at all? No? Okay. Usually I have people with questions. How did I get into body painting? I'm so glad you asked that. My friend David Caballero works at a place called Disguises. It's on Colfax and Kipling. And I came in for body painting supplies that were like zombie types of stuff. You know, blood, all that kind of good stuff. And it was, he was like, Mythica, you're an artist. Why don't you come and join us at the body jam? And I'm like, well, I don't have any paints or anything like that. And he's like, it's okay, you can use mine, just bring your own brushes. I'm like, all right, that sounds good. So I went, and I was looking for something that combined my spirituality and my art. And basically, that's what I found. Like, this is the thing that sings to my soul. I would rather do this than anything else. Like, literally, I would rather spend an entire weekend and only get like 2 hours of sleep both nights. So long as that I'm doing this, like, it wouldn't matter. Like, I don't, like, this is, the different people that are affected by what happens when I do this is more important than just about anything else on the planet, in life, really. Do you have any other questions?
Drive to a particular spiritual philosophy?
That is such a good question. I was hoping somebody who had interviewing skills would ask that kind of question. So I have had several near-death experiences. They're called NDEs for most people. So I have what I would call an unfair advantage. Most people would say that they have faith in God. And faith is described as believing in something that you cannot see, feel, whatever. So if somebody asks me if I had faith in God, I say no, I don't have faith in God, I have knowledge. And that's a very different answer. But because of my near-death experiences, when I was in the 2nd grade, I got to spend a week in what I call the in-between place. And I did not understand until many years later what that was. I had no clue. I had no idea. It wasn't until years later when Saved by the Light by Dan and Brinkley came out, and Saved by Grace, and some of these other movies now that are out, like there's this little boy that had a near-death experience, and he talked about God, and all this different kind of stuff, and I was like, oh, I know what that is, like I've been there. I understood that that was what had happened to me. And so I grew up Catholic. I would say that I still go to Mass with my family when I go back home. Periodically I go because I miss the ritual. But my own spirituality, dude, I have freaking Yoda on my altar at home, along with a lightsaber that I made myself with a crystal and the whole 9 yards. So like I am a freaking Jedi. I don't know many other people that like combine Catholicism with Yoda. You know, throw a little bit of Buddhism and, you know, Hinduism in there, and, you know, whatever else. I don't think that there's anyone else on the planet that believes exactly as I do. But I'm sort of the opinion that if you wanted to, if you had to put a name to it, because there isn't any other name, then I would say that my spirituality would be unconditional love. Because when I was in the in-between place, there was an energy that was emitted from the great big ball of light that I was in front of that there really are no human words for. And the closest human words that really are just so poor and so pale in comparison is unconditional love. Like those are the closest words. So if I would say that's what my spirituality is, that would be my answer. And I love the fact that Australia, you can actually put on the survey.
Silver chills, I love that. Australia's funny.
Australia's awesome. I know that.
Right?
Everyone's like, oh my gosh, sign me up. What do you think, guys?
That's awesome.
Love it.
I'm feeling galaxies this weekend. Hitting my happy place.
They're slightly bit, I promise. Like, it doesn't look like they are, but they are. There was one time I got a little lightheaded, but I think it was a combo of the energy work too. There was a minute I was like, man, oh no, I'm lightheaded, but I think it was you.
Okay. So I'll catch up. So how about you, Heather? What have you felt while getting painted today?
I love getting body painted. It's very zen and calming. You know, like I was just saying while you were talking and mentioning the energy work and stuff, I could definitely feel that you were doing that. You know, you just feel a sense of peace. Really, it's like you were saying, the unconditional love. Like there's not many human words for how it feels. And what we were talking about in the bathroom earlier, like I was saying when I was sitting over there and she was talking about the self-esteem and everything, I was like, wow, the universe is just so perfect, because it was just having these issues and even talking about it with my boyfriend, like, and I was just like, this is literally exactly what I need, to be vulnerable right now, and thank you for that. It's perfectly in line with what I'm trying to do with life.
Well, thank you for saying yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it feels really good.
Okay. So for those of you that started out with being a little mortified for her, how many of you wish you now were her?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Right? Because isn't her courage what we want? Who wants her courage? That's how you're going to get what you want. Right? Everybody thinks that being vulnerable is about being weak. But no one would look at her. No one in this room would look at her. No one who's on the video would look at her and say that this woman is weak. This woman right here is powerful. So thank you. You're welcome. All right. If you don't have any other questions, I'll invite some last questions. Yes?
So, Mythica, how did you come to terms with your own value? In other words, your own value to other people, and then move this from something where people were just asking you to do this, and you would say, sure, let's do this, into something that now has become your business?
So my values started to change over a process of many different things. But the biggest one is that year that I told you about where everything changed for me. And what I had to do was change my relationship to money. I made my relationship to money be one of the things that changed in my mental experience. And that's how that shift happened. Because you have to treat money like there's so many things in our society. Money is the root of all
Evil.
right? Money doesn't grow on trees, right? These are societal values. And so I had to create something else that I believed in that was more, which is money is energy. Right? Because energy is something completely different. I'm a Reiki master. I can move that stuff. Right? I can attract to myself the people that need me and have the money to pay me. Right? And so when you start attracting people on that level, then you attract not only you can attract people who even don't have the money, and you can have somebody over here who has the money to pay for somebody over here who doesn't. Right? And then later on, when that person, because they've been elevated, right, in their relationship, then they have a sense of, you know what, someone paid that forward for me, so I'm going to pay that forward to them now. And so that's when that energy becomes a cycle. And that's how that shifts, and that's how that changes. At least that's how it was. That's how it was for me. Did that answer your question, Daryl?
Yes.
Did you like the answer?
Yes.
Okay. And you had a question too.
Yeah, can I actually add a little something to the piece?
Oh yes, absolutely.
He wants to finish it off.
Well, not finish it. No. That's
No,
that's your job.
but that's the other thanks, Kitty.
Gotta be in the full garb.
How about anyone else? Any other questions? Maybe from the back? Professional question answers?
Question out for
Your question.
We'll have more questions later.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So we talk about body image, but standardly the people that get body painted are fairly ideal-esque when it comes to like the image that they have. So do you paint people that are outside of that image? And it's a serious question because I'm just wondering, there's a lot of beautiful women in the audience, and we want them to feel comfortable with standing on stage and letting you paint them. So do you paint women that do not fit that body style?
Ladies in the room, do I paint people who don't fit this body style?
Yes, she does. We all see this.
Ladies who have been body painted in this room who don't fit this style, raise your hand.
Love it.
Does Does that answer your question? Now, just because I happen to be lucky enough, I actually had somebody else that was going to come and be body painted, and her sister ended up being in the hospital, so she was unable to attend. I was very fortunate to have Heather to come here today, but the thing is that even if Heather is a more idealistic look, right? She still has body image issues. It doesn't matter what her shape is. It doesn't matter what her style is, right? I'm not an idyllic image, right? I went from a 22 to a 12, and I still got jelly rolls. But here's the thing, I love my jelly rolls, and I'm completely okay with them. And I could take off all my clothes right now, and I can outwalk anybody on the freaking runway.
You go, girl.
Because I don't have those issues in puppies and kittens. Right? You take that runway model out of her lingerie, and I can outwalk her. You know, unless she's done other things in her life to give her that self-confidence. But I'll take that challenge any day, whatever my size is. You know, I've not had kids, but I have stretch marks. When I hit puberty, I got stretch marks all over my body. I grew so fast in a 6-month period that I actually have stretch marks in every joint. So I have stretch marks on the backs of my knees, on my arms, like everywhere there's a joint on my body, I have stretch marks. Because I grew like that fast. So I didn't even get to have kids to get those. Like, you know, I earned my whatever, you know, for being a mom. And I'm like, no, I didn't even earn it. Like, I just grew up. And that's what I got. But, you know, and I have body painted a lot of models. Like, I was at Galaxy Fest just this weekend, right? Here's this beautiful dark-skinned girl who was just like any of us would have looked at her and was like, oh my God, you're stunning. And she came over to me and she sat down in my little area